Hey, what's going on, fellow movie lovers all over the world? You already know who it is. It's your favorite internet sweaty, your boy Mikey Savage 21, bringing you another 2017 movie review. And today I'm going to be looking at the highly anticipated film of 2017, Kingsman: The Golden Circle, which is directed and written by Vaughn himself, Mr. Michael Vaughn, and it serves as a sequel to the 2014 film Kingsman: The Secret Service. And the film features Colin, Firth, Taron, Egerton, Mark Strong, Edward Holcroft, Sophie, Cookson, as well as newcomers Julianne Moore, Halle, Pedro, Pascal, Elton John, Channing Tatum, and Jeff Bridges, respectively. And the plot follows around the Kingsmen needing to team up with their American counterparts, or cousins as they say in the film, the Statesman, after the world is held hostage by Julianne Moore's character of Poppy Adam. Alright, so I'm gonna go ahead and say I came to the whole hype train that everyone was around Kingsman. I came to it very late. I didn't see it when it first came out. I didn't pick it up on Blu-ray immediately when it came out. I actually didn't pick it up till this year, and I actually didn't watch it until maybe about a month or so ago. I was going through a really hard time. Had some stuff going on in my life, which I won't bore you with the details, but I needed a good feel-good movie that's got some action in it, and had been saying I was gonna watch it and I finally watched it, and I loved it. I absolutely loved it. I thought it was absolutely fantastic. If I would have had an opportunity to review that movie, which I will be doing a review-esque type video with Kingsman later on this week. It'll probably come up around maybe Monday or Tuesday, possibly Wednesday, most likely leaning towards Wednesday. But if I had to review the film again and give it a score, I would ultimately give that movie a solid 9 out of a 10. I think that would be a 9 out of a 10. Now, I will say this much. I enjoyed Colin Firth coming back. I enjoyed Taron Egerton's character. I really enjoyed Taron Egerton's character. I felt like they were both still the same characters from the first movie, along with Mark Strong as Merlin as well. I felt like everybody that was in the first movie, including Sophie Cookson as well, and to a lesser degree Edward Holcroft and Hanna Alström. I felt like they were all still the same characters from the first movie, but ultimately they had gone through significant changes in their life. It felt like Michael Vaughn plucked them from that story and put them in this story, and he did it in an organic, and I loved it. The newcomers. I love Channing Tatum, and I love Jeff Bridges, and I love Pedro Pascal. We didn't get that much of Channing Tatum or Jeff Bridges as the trailer led us to believe, but I still really ultimately enjoyed them in the film. And same thing with Pedro Pascal. All the little cool action scenes that they had in the trailer, they were enhanced even more in this film. But to me, the weakest part of the new cast would ultimately have to be really Julianne Moore. I will say Julianne Moore, to me, really felt like she was in a Bond movie or something. She was just a little too silly and a little bit too over the top. Maybe not a Bond movie. I'd maybe put her in maybe like an Austin Powers movie or something, because she was just so goofy and quirky. And I get Samuel L. Jackson. It's hard to have a villain that's as compelling and awesome and as well as quirky and funny as him. He set the bar really high, so it was going to be kind of monumental and hard to find someone just as good as him, but it's not completely impossible. And again, Valentine was very quirky in the movie, but he was quirky when he needed to be. But I felt like Poppy Adams was just too crazy in this movie. She felt like she was just out of place in this whole movie. And the only other person I want to talk about, or two other people I want to talk about, Halle is Ginger and Elton John as himself. I thought Elton John really was funny in this movie. Hey, you guys who thought that Elton John was going to ruin this movie, no, he actually made the movie kind of funny, but there were a few scenes where he made it just a little too comical, but it wasn't because it was him, it was just because of the way it was being told or the way it was being directed. And Halle Berry, again, I loved her. I've loved most of what she's been in lately. I think she makes a really good, compelling support character, whether you're talking about her as the character of Storm from the X-Men series, the original 2 films, we won't talk about that 3rd film, or X-Men Days of Future Past. And from what I've heard, she's pretty awesome in Kidnap as well. I have not checked out that film. I'll probably pick that up on Blu-ray or on digital when it releases. But yeah, I thought that all the cast members worked. None of the characters really took me out of the movie. The only character I say that really took me out again was Julianne Moore's character. But in terms of the story, what did I think about the story? I didn't love it as much as I did the first one. I felt like there was a bit of a retread with certain scenes, especially getting towards the end. I felt like the ending was basically somewhat the same ending. We also had the whole where there's a bowl apparently within the Statesman, so that was also kind of a bit of a retread as well. So in terms of the story, I enjoyed it, but there was just certain scenes I think maybe could have been plucked out of this film, or needed to go back and maybe redo some things. A lot of times when you have these action comedy sequels come out, they're never as good as the first one. It's very hard to do that. It's very hard for sequels to do that anyway, but I felt like this one had a lot of pressure riding on his shoulders, and hearing it was a 3-hour film and that he cut it down to 2 minutes and 21 seconds, it's a little overwhelming a little bit that we were almost going to get a 3-hour movie. And again, I don't mind a 3-hour movie, especially if it's compelling and it makes sense and it flows together, and I feel like the story serves the purpose of being 3 hours. And I will say that the scenes flowed organically in this movie, so it didn't feel like, you know, he took this out, he took this out. But I felt like there was certain things that could have made the story a little bit better, because again, it felt like it was a little bit of a retread where you have this villain who has like these world taking over goals and wants to take over the entire world, and is quirky and weird, just like Valentine's character was. Also has a cybernetically enhanced person that's like their lackey or their number one or their sidekick, basically, that protects them at all times. That was also a retread. So I felt like this one retreaded a lot of the same things, and you could say it did that because it worked in the first one, so why not repeat what you did again? But sometimes when you do sequels, you ultimately do need to go in a different direction while paying homage to what was originally in the first film. All right, so again, now I've talked about the characters, I've talked about the story. Let's talk about the dialogue. All right, I thought the dialogue here was pretty funny. Again, Taron Egerton's the way he drops F-bombs here and there, or the way that Colin Firth comes in with the manners maketh men, or the way that Mark Strong was apparently a big country fanatic and having him bursting out and singing random country songs, or really seeing the different levels and dimensions to his character. I thought that was really interesting, and I thought most of the dialogue here landed in terms of the different respective characters. But again, I felt like with Julianne more, it just got a little too whimsical and a little too out of this world. But as a whole, what do I think about Kingsman, The Golden Circle? I do think it's a film that you should definitely check out in theaters. I didn't enjoy it as much as I did the first one. I can't state that more than enough. But again, that's because it's hard to duplicate what you did in the first one, ultimately. So I do say that this is a good film. And again, if I had to rate the original one, I'd be giving it a 9 out of a 10. With this one, I'm sadly going to have to say I'm going to have to give this one a 7 out of a 10. Again, it was, in terms of action, it beat out American Assassin in terms of action. That was one of the things I was worrying about, was they're going to be able to do the action scenes effectively, but then also step it up just a wee bit, because when you start to get too much into the action, that's when it starts becoming a little too unrealistic, basically. And that's what I can say about the first one. It felt realistic when people were doing action scenes and certain stunts, certain scenes, that the way they ultimately played out and the way the characters interacted felt natural. In this one, certain times during scenes and action scenes, it felt very unnatural. In terms of how many cups, I'm going to give this movie a total of, I'm gonna give this 4 cups, 4 out of 6 cups, hashtag how many cups. Again, thank you so much for checking out this video. Sorry that it's been taking me a while to get up some videos. Been going through some personal things that I won't ultimately bore you with, but thank you as always for checking out the video. Time for another shameless plug since we're ending up the video. Hey guys, go support me on Patreon. It would be a lot to me. We're kind of dead on Patreon right now. Again, if you're able to give, that's awesome. If you're not able to give, then it's okay as well. But if you really call this channel home, then please go follow me on Patreon, support me there. Again, I have it set up for where you can give $1 a month or $5 a month. Again, make sure you subscribe to the channel, smash that subscribe button right in the face, and tap the bell as well. You'll be notified every time a video drops. And then also make sure you like and comment and share this video with a friend. Thank you. And as I always say, remember to become a savage, stay a savage, and peace out, y'all. Later. And before I forget, remember, when you are in a bar with somebody and you see someone say manners maketh men, and they start to walk towards the door, yeah, you better go ahead and try to run or sit down or say you're sorry, because you're about to get your ass kicked. Or as Channing Tatum would say, you're about to get your ass kicked here, boy. All right, I'm done, y'all. I'm done. All right, peace out, y'all.